So this is an actual headline at Newsweek.com. Bill Belichick could lose UNC job because of Jordon Hudson. Jordon Hudson is his 24-year-old girlfriend. And, okay, we've got to dive into this story.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Shout out to the everydayers, and thank you so much for making Locked On ACC your first listen and your first watch. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. He is Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack. I am Alex Donno from Locked On Canes. Today's episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. All right, so, Kenton, I mentioned, by the way, we're also going to talk on this episode about proposed changes to the ACC basketball regular season, which could help more teams get into the tournament. We'll compare that to Jim Phillips' proposal of reforming the ACC football conference championship picture. But, all right, so this Belichick drama here, and I mentioned, this is a real headline, but I think it's a BS headline. I think this is clickbait at its absolute worst, that Bill Belichick could lose UNC job because of his 24-year-old girlfriend, who may also be his publicist and his manager. And Kenton, we'll talk about the reasons why Jordon Hudson is being written about today, but can we agree that the idea that North Carolina would fire Bill Belichick as their head football coach because of some PR annoyances with the girlfriend, I think that's absolutely absurd.
I don't. Look at almost any league. Look at almost any place. Well, okay, let's be very, very serious about this right now, right?
Okay.
John Morant just got fined by the NBA for doing the same gun hand sign as everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why? Why? Because it's a PR annoyance. That's not illegal. Yeah. What Ja did was not illegal to anybody. He wasn't brandishing an actual weapon, which he's done in the past. He was not doing there. He was not doing that there. He was simply expressing himself on the court, and now this PR annoyance has caused the league to say, we're going to ding you. We're going to slap you on the wrist because of it. I don't think that anybody should be above reproach in that aspect. I will say this is a very slippery slope. I will say that dinging somebody for this is a very slippery slope. However, I think that there's a very wide range of things between hey, you're allowed to date somebody that you're 3 times their senior, and here's the big part, have them around and actively involved in the program versus, hey, you're dating this woman who's exponentially younger than you, but she's in the side. She's somewhere way away. You see her at their version of the Tar Heel Awards or whatever at the end of the year, and that's it. You see her there, you see her at the end of game day, and that's it. If somebody is going to take an active role in the program, you cannot expect there to not be scrutiny to that. With all due respect, Dave Doran and his wife, right? Much closer in age, really close in age.
Yeah.
She was not as involved with the day-to-day doing. She was not always there and around. And that's not to say, Coach Doran doesn't love his wife, whatever the case be. He's a good man. By all accounts, all I know and all I've seen, he's a good husband, as far as I know, good father. But that doesn't mean that, again, day-to-day, this person is actively involved. When you get your partner actively involved like that, you invite people into your bedroom, which should not be the case. It should not be the case. Your partner should be, hey, this is my old lady, this my old man, this is my old thing, whatever they're, whatever that is, this is my partner, they're over here. When I come to clock into work, I come to clock into work, okay? With all due respect, Donno, you're a great family man. Whenever your son happens to walk on by behind the camera, you're like, hey, get out of here, get out of here. We've never had an episode where we've had, hey, we got to have all the Donnos on here blocking all the negative comments. Yeah. Everybody who calls Alex an idiot, Mrs. Donno gets on there. So to me, I do think that this scrutiny of their relationship is very intense, but it's the factors of it's 2025. People are more leery of large age gaps in relationships than ever. And you've got this woman deeply involved in the comings and goings of the program. Like, you can't have it both ways, that I'm going to have you around. You're going to be on the field. You're going to be, helping shut up shots and all that. But please don't mention this at all.
Yeah, like we already knew, it had been reported that, people like within UNC's program, if they try to email Bill, like they've got to CC Jordon onto it. But it's like, I mean, I guess it's weird because of the boundary that's his girlfriend, and that, since she's basically college aged, it seems like a big jump up for her to be, managing Bill Belichick, but she's also dating Bill Belichick. So like, I guess like if she was, like a 45-year-old assistant and not dating him, then I don't think it would be that weird to like CC his manager on stuff. But I guess like the whole boundary gets a little bit murky. So here's a lot of the drama comes from this CBS interview that Bill and she did together. I'm not even sure if this is available yet. I haven't watched. I probably won't watch it because, these puff piece interviews. Well, maybe I will watch it because of the drama that happened. I'm not usually the type of person to watch this stuff, but Bill is promoting his new book. And according to a report from TMZ, Belichick arrived at the interview with CBS with just Jordon Hudson and no other representatives, which was to the surprise of CBS producers. At the interview, let me see, her growing influence on him has the UNC football program worried, according to TMZ Sports. Things aren't a huge problem yet, but as this awkward incident would indicate, it could develop into one. At the very least, the interview was edited, but a part where Hudson interrupted the interviewer, Tony DeCopel, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, of CBS Mornings, because he asked how she and Bill met, and she did not want that in. I mean, maybe they met on sugardaddies.com, so she didn't want to talk about that during the interview.
Hey, Donno, maybe they bumped into each other at Harris Teeter Republics, Yeah, plenty of people don't want to share their story of my cart running into theirs while we're both going for our bin game. Plenty of people.
I'm sure they had a meet cute. Like they were walking their dogs at the dog park, and the dogs got their leashes tangled up. And they went out for coffee. I'm sure it was completely really adorable, but she wanted that edited out of the interview. And they say numerous other instances of Hudson interrupting, including her correcting Belichick on some of his answers, were edited out. Eventually, during the Q&A, Hudson got heated enough to storm out and ask Belichick to follow her. Now that is the ultimate. Like, have you ever been in a situation? Because thankfully my wife is awesome, but I've dated some weirdos before I found the one. Like, you ever been in that situation where they're like, they make a scene, they storm out, and I'm just like, I don't know if I want to storm out. Like, I really don't want to storm out, but maybe I have to storm out. Like, that was the situation she put Bill in.
Now, Donno, you might have dated some weirdos, but you got to storm out with her. You got to when she say, "I'm mad, we leave it." We leave it.
No, I know.
I mean, like,
you could even sound like Bill stormed out, though. It sounds like Bill stayed, and
you can even do the secret apology behind their back, like when you walking out.
Yeah.
But you got to leave with it. You got to leave with it. But I'll tell you what, again, this situation, I am all for staying out of people's personal lives. I am 1,000% for it. So I don't want anybody to say, "Oh, Ken is talking about this because he's talking about somebody's personal life." But you know why I'm talking about somebody's personal life? When Donno gets emails from Locked On, I do not see Mrs. Donno's email copied on it. We have an entire thread for all the people that are in the squad. I have not seen Mrs. Donno. I have not seen their little one copied into those emails. You know what I mean? I haven't seen Isaac Shade's wife copied into those emails. I haven't seen Dalton's Ole. I haven't seen anybody else's partners, no girlfriend, no boyfriend, no kids, because people understand when I'm working in a professional capacity, I'm working in a professional capacity. As the old saying goes, you do not eat where you crap. And you're combining those two. You're combining those two when you're making people, your bosses, the people signing your check. Even if you imagine, I'm doing UNC a favor. They need me. I don't need them. I'm the GOAT coach. That's fine. You are still beholden to the people signing your check.
Yeah.
And if the people signing your check are having to run things by this young lady, then by all means, you have just added her into the equation. You have just added your relationship into the equation in a very meaningful way where it shouldn't be. It should not be.
Right. Well, I mean, to me, like, I don't think any of the stuff that I read would put like Bill in a position where his job is in jeopardy. But I'll tell you, like, the last line that she could cross, like, I'll tell you how she could put him in jeopardy when we come back. Because I've seen stuff like this happen before in sports. You want to keep it locked in to Locked On ACC, Kenton Gibbs, Alex Donno. We're not done yet on this brand new episode. Guys, Gametime is the only ticket app that Kenton and I use because we're getting the best deals, the best features, and the prices go down on the Gametime app the closer you get to the event. So you can buy last minute with zero stress. There's nothing like the atmosphere at an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena, and with Gametime, you can be part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting because Gametime makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. Guys, the all-in pricing feature means no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you pay with Gametime. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. All one word, LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you for making Locked On ACC your first listen today. For your next listen, check out our other shows. Kenton Gibbs hosts Locked On Wolfpack alongside Grayson Boone. They do an awesome job covering all things NC State. I host Locked On Canes covering all things Miami. By the way, Kent, we got a big baseball series coming up this weekend, NC State down at Miami. And I gave you a shout out today because I was interviewing a couple of Miami baseball players, and I said, you have to win this series for me. Otherwise, Kenton Gibbs is going to rub it in my face on Monday. So you got to go out there. Take 2 out of 3, preferably a sweep would be nice. And the Wolfpack are very good. KG leading the ACC in baseball, but I need that series win, preferably a sweep this weekend.
Them boys ain't lost a series in quite some time. How about that Wolfpack? Number 2 team in the nation. Clemson Tigers come on through the dope. Yeah. And what happened? I'll tell you what. Big bats were swinging. Shout out to Phraseman, the national player of the week, baby. Hey, it's a great time to be a Wolf. How about the Wolfpack? How about that Wolfpack?
I mean, I will say Miami started off awful. Like baseball season was reminding me of basketball season.
So did we.
Right.
Yeah, it was a rough start.
But Miami, they've got 2 consecutive series sweeps in the ACC. They've won 9 out of their last 10 games overall, 12 out of their last 15. So something's got to give this weekend. The Wolfpack are in great form. Miami's in great form. We'll see what happens this weekend. Another part of the of these, grievances that are being aired against Belichick's girlfriend / manager / public. And she might be the GM of the football program now. I'm not even sure if Michael Lombardi still works. I think Jordon Hudson might have taken his job. But another part of this, I was reading this on Bleacher Report. So like she had instructed the North Carolina social media department to what was it? She had asked, this is according to Matt Baker, actually, of The Athletic. So this is not from TMZ, that she emailed UNC's social media team asking them to promote Bill's son, Steve Belichick, quote, as his own established credible entity. But you know what? Like, that doesn't seem weird to me. Like, so she's telling the social media department, like, make sure when you're, tweeting about Steven Belichick, you're not like, hey, this is Bill's son. Like, I can kind of understand that. Like, promote him as his own.
That makes sense.
I think that's what, not promote him, like give him a better job, like promote him on social media.
I got you.
Like, hey, this is not the nepotism hire. This is a guy.
He is a nepo hire. He is a nepo hire, but
right.
But we can pretend. Yeah.
But you don't want to admit that. But like, okay, so where, and again, like, okay, hearing all these details, like, first reaction is, I get it. If you're an UNC staffer, it's probably a pain in the butt to have to deal with this dynamic. I get that. I totally get that. I also kind of feel like, with these tensions coming up, maybe Bill and Jordan won't be together for that much longer, but it's probably not my opinion to give on that. But I think for this to like cross a line where this could, actually jeopardize Belichick's job the way that Newsweek theorized it could, I think, Kenton, if it were to reach a point where she started openly criticizing colleagues of Belichick, like start meddling with football stuff, criticize players, like if she actually crosses lines like that, then I could see it, because sometimes these relationship dynamics are messy. Like I'm a huge soccer fan. I'm a lifelong Inter Milan fan. And, a few years ago, the Inter Milan captain was this Argentinian forward named Mauro Icardi, who made the terrible mistake of hiring his wife to be his agent. Ended up being an awful mistake. And she would go on TV shows every week, and she, as was his agent trying to get him a raise and a better deal, was on TV criticizing teammates of his for not passing him the ball enough. The next day, they stripped his captain's armband away because of things his wife said, and eventually he got sold to another club, I think the next summer. So I think if Jordon Hudson were to ever cross a line like that, where she starts criticizing others to defend Bill, then I think that could reach a point where, yeah, this could get pretty ugly. But it hasn't reached that point yet.
It absolutely could. I'll tell you what, if it even approaches that line, they're cooked. I mean, people are already talking about it now, and all that has been said up to this point is Bill Belichick saying, I can't believe people within the program think I'm a predator. Like that's pretty much the only thing that Bill has said, and people are still like, well, why would you say that? That's a little weird. And in Bill's defense, he actually is right to say that. In his defense, yes, there's an extreme age gap between those two. Absolutely. Yeah. Listen, it's not my place to talk about how I feel about that morally, whether I think it's good, bad, and different. But
I'm kind of proud of Bill, if I'm being honest.
Hey, pride is one thing you could feel for him in this moment. But I look at this and I say again, the fact that she's even involved enough for you to imagine that as a thing, right? And here's the thing. We do realize one without the other, she's good. If she wasn't this involved in the program and she started criticizing his colleagues, nobody would care. They'd be like, oh, yeah, girlfriend. I'm doing what she does.
That's a good point.
I remember it was it Tom Brady's wife or Wes Welker's wife? One of their wives.
It was just, I think it was Tom Brady's wife, Gisele Bundchen, was criticizing Wes Welker for dropping a pass in the Super Bowl. I remember that.
And that's
but she wasn't his agent or his general manager.
She wasn't his agent. She wasn't his manager. It's the compounding factors that add in, layer on top of each other. Boom, weigh you down. That's what that is. It's the series of things that come together. So, Donno, if it was one thing, it'd be fine. But if it's multiple things, yes, it absolutely will be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And by the way, Donno and I both did not want to talk about this, but it had to be talked about. We are ball guys. And by ball, we mean on the court guys. That's who we on the field guys. That's who we are. But this is just one of those things that, it's become it's taken on a life of its own, really. And part of me even wonders, why would you even do this interview to like push your book and all that? Why? Why even do it? Why, you've got enough money. You've got enough accolades. You've got enough of the things. If people want to buy your book, they want to buy your book. If they don't want to buy your book, they don't want to buy your book. But now this interview has now put you all in not only a renewed spotlight, but now you're under a microscope in a way that you would not have been otherwise, all to publish some book? Brother, you're not an author. You're not Nicholas Sparks. That's not what you're known for. You win Super Bowls. You don't write bestsellers.
Yeah, I think, by the way, everybody has an autobiography. Like anybody who's rich, and Belichick, obviously, 6-time Super Bowl winner. He probably should have an autobiography, but I'm over the whole, like, I'm not reading everybody's book. I'd probably rather watch paint dry than read Bill Belichick's book. I'll see the juicy excerpts that come out when it comes, as most people do. All right, so we got to talk some actual ball when we come back, because I know, and sometimes I put this stuff in the show notes just to annoy Kenton, like, oh, we're going to spend 19 minutes talking about Jordon Hudson just because I know I'm going to get under Kenton's skin. We will talk some ball next, because the ACC, they're coming up with ideas to try to help get more of their basketball teams into the tournament, and also, ideas to make the ACC football championship game a little spicier. You want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On ACC. Guys, the NBA playoffs are in full swing. The Stanley Cup playoffs are in full swing. And it's not too late to get in on all the action on FanDuel. I mean, I don't know why you've waited this long, but if you have waited this long, your patience will be rewarded at FanDuel.com. Because right now, when you join FanDuel and you place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy. Whether you're, an experienced, sharp, or you're a rookie and you just want to get on the like FanDuel could not be easier to figure all of this stuff out at FanDuel.com. And I love diving into player props, from 3-pointers to steals to assists. FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Do not miss out. Head to FanDuel.com to claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Thank you for making Locked On ACC your first listen and your first watch today. It's not surprising after, Miami only got 4 teams into the NCAA tournament, last month, how the ACC would be, trying to tweak and come up with more ideas to get more teams in. And, obviously the conference has gotten bigger, with the additions of Cal, Stanford, and SMU. And right now they play a 20 conference game schedule. But Kenton, the new idea, this is something the ACC is considering. Jim Phillips, the commissioner, and the conference's athletic directors and ESPN have been active in discussions to move from 20 conference games to 18, which would start this coming season, the 2025-2026 season next year. The expectation among administrators is that the proposal will be approved when the league's administrators meet in May for its annual spring meetings in Florida. So the 18-game proposal would consist of every team would play 1 game against 16 teams and then 2 games against a permanent rival. Like, I would imagine Miami and Florida State would probably be permanent rivals. Probably Duke, UNC would probably be permanent rivals, like stuff like that, where you would play, twice a year. So I guess the feeling is if you can stack up the non-conference schedule, maybe get a couple more wins under your belt and a couple more quality statistics under your belt, it would give teams a better chance to make the tournament. And I'm all for it. I got no issues with this proposal, because 20 conference games to me is a lot.
I think that this was originally intended in terms of the ACC being so strong. It was like, hey, you're going to play 20 conference games because that's going to benefit you all. You all are going to have to play tougher games 20 times a year. We're now looking at a downturn, so people are now trying to adjust for that, which, I don't think that's a bad idea where it is now. I am not a super fan of this idea. I think that it gives teams the opportunity and the flexibility to schedule out some tough games. It also gives teams the opportunity to schedule an Island of Misfit Toys community college. You know what I mean? Like it's yes, you can say, oh, well, I want you all to steer away from scheduling mid-majors or whatever, but how are you going to stop them? What's to stop a team from saying, oh, man, I really, really want DePaul bad right now. I want DePaul on the schedule bad and I can breathe. Yeah. What's going to stop you? What are you going to do to stop them from doing that? So you could say, well, we're disincentivizing that because it would hurt the ACC. Sure. But if a coach thinks my job is at risk, and right now my main thing is to stack up as many wins as I can to say, see, look, I've done the thing, they're absolutely going to say, come on in here, Southern University. Come on in here. Let's get it on, and so that's just what it is.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of feel like what you say about, kind of stacking it with easier non-conference games is probably the route that a lot of teams would go in to like boost their KenPom ratings and to boost their win total. Like, I don't think too many teams are like, hey, this is an opportunity to add another quad 1 to the schedule. Like, I don't really look at it. It's probably the latter, but
exactly.
Yeah, but if it does result in, next year maybe 6 teams getting into the tournament instead of 4, I can, because I want more, meaningful games being played in the NCAA tournament for the ACC. So I don't think I would mind that. But how do you compare that to the football ideas, Kenton? Because one of those that I think you really like this idea, and I'm intrigued by it, is to kind of turn the ACC championship game in football into a 4-team tournament. Now, one of the ideas, which is kind of wacky, is to like to turn the final regular season week, where if you're scheduled to play a certain team, you're instead going, the top seed in the ACC will play against the 4 seed and the 2 will play against the 3. Then you'll meet in the ACC championship game. Or our idea is maybe you add an extra week into it where you play a 4-team tournament and then you play the ACC championship game on Army-Navy week. Sorry, Army-Navy, where you can extend that an extra week. But either way, I think the idea of making the ACC championship like a 4-team experience instead of a 2-team, that could benefit in terms of quality wins and give opportunities to teams that wouldn't normally get it.
Donno, I had a brain blast that hit me, and it really it blew my mind that I didn't think of this sooner. You would absolutely have to hold the rivalry games for the last week of the season together, because you don't want to be the only league that's not playing rivalries that week. But here's what you do. You add in an extra bye week, and then the week going into the Army-Navy game / the ACC semifinals, what you do is, because you added in a bye week and took away an ACC game, what you do on the back end is that week leading up to the ACC semifinals, every single ACC team plays another ACC team. It's just 4 gets matched up against 1, 2 gets matched up against 3. Those are the ACC semifinals. Those will both be on Saturday, as you know that. And then going all through the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you got ACC football every single night. That some people will say, oh, Stanford versus Wake Forest is meaningless. These teams aren't going to great bowl games. So what? These are the squads that matched up based on their rankings. It would be the 5th team versus the dead last team. It would be the 6th team versus the second to last, 7th, and so on and so forth. And you kind of keep that going. I would love that. I would love a full week of ACC football all week, and then we cap it off with the semifinals. Oh, it'd be some good ball.
And Jim Phillips, we're giving you this idea for free. There's no subscription for Locked On ACC. So Jim Phillips, he's going to take your $1 billion idea and keep every penny for himself.
Hey, listen, I'm a man of the people. I'm a man of the people, and I want what's good for the people, okay? All power to all people. I hope that Jim Phillips does take this idea and makes the ACC as great as it once was and restores it to its former glory before a certain man by the last name of Swafford got a hold of. I'm sorry. A little too personal. I hope he restores it to its former glory.
I just received a bulletin. Jordon Hudson has been promoted to offensive coordinator of the North Carolina Tar Heels.
She sure is going to offend some people this year. I'll tell you that.
She calls the best plays, and if you question her play call, she will storm right off that sideline.
Hey, listen, I wouldn't be too mad at it. I'm not going to lie to you. If I'm a player and I see her call one play, hey, get me in the transfer portal right now. I don't care when the window opens. Put me in it now.
Well, we had a great time today. Make sure you guys subscribe to Locked On ACC. By the way, for your next listen, make sure you check out the Portal podcast. Our very good friend Brian Smith here from the Locked On Network hosts the Portal. I know the Portal, it's closed for players can no longer enter the Portal, but there are still unsigned players out there. I'm playing catch up today, Kenton, because Miami just signed a slot receiver today, Tony Johnson from Cincinnati. I'm about to do an episode on that for Locked On Canes. So the transfer portal players are still getting signed, deals are still getting done, and Brian Smith covers all of that on the Portal podcast. He is Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack. I am Alex Donno from Locked On Canes. We'll talk to you next time on another episode of Locked On ACC. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.